Good evening, folks. It is me, Dirty Rob from the Gazelle Sports Dirty Herd and the West Michigan Trail Runners here with this week's free review. And this week we are continuing with a theme we followed last week, sticking with a company that I love from the bottom of my heart. And I'm super excited about what they're doing model to model with each of their shoes as they continue to improve them immensely, in my opinion. And that's not saying a little, because I tend to love their shoes. I still have version 1 of their very first road shoe that is ugly as all sin, but I love wearing it. Enough about that. Let's talk about it. The Altra Olympus 1.5. So their 1.5 numbering basically implies they've adjusted the upper. They haven't done anything to the midsole and outsole. Well, I take that back. They have adjusted the outsole, but no major updates. More cosmetic than anything. So let's talk about this shoe. It is obviously a maximal, so you can see this by looking at the stack heights. It is huge, 36 millimeters of stack height, tallest shoe on the market, even more so than a Hoka. You could even now say I think Hokas are Olympus-esque instead of the other way around, maybe. But let's get into this. So with a tongue, you're looking at a nicely padded tongue, slightly gusseted halfway up to keep all the debris out. You have a nice little extender collar on this tongue that's going to rub nice against the skin on your ankle or your foot. I like it because I use the last eyelet on these shoes because I always have a slightly skinny ankle, slightly low volume foot, and it helps keep me tied in, and the laces don't slide up over the tongue and rub my foot. So I'm a big fan of that. Now the upper, they made a couple small changes. They have a new tear-resistant mesh on it. They've tried to dial in the fit of the heel and the midfoot. I didn't notice it a ton. It did seem a little more comfortable, but I might have been just imagining that because they said, hey, it's more comfortable, it fits better. Either way, it is a very nice shoe for the first version, for 1.5. Toe-ran synthetic overlay with some stitching on it. That's some of the very little bit of stitching you see on the upper, basically on the eyelets, around the heel counter, and then in the toe rand. Along the heel, they still have the gator trap for all of you who love that. They haven't gotten rid of that. Sadly, they still have this big giant EVA kind of collar on the heel. I'll be really curious to see what they do with that in version 2.0. That's been getting a lot of bad press. I'm sure it has a purpose behind it, but most of us look at it and think you could lose some weight if you got rid of that. So upper, nice improvement, getting better. Moving down to the midsole outsole, they've got their proprietary A-bound on top of EVA, so it's a nice springy feeling on top of a nice cushioned bottom. There's no rock plate in it, but again, this thing's 36 millimeters high. You don't really need a rock plate. You're not going to feel a thing in this. The outsole rubber curls up over the toe, right where you need it, right in the dead center for a little bit of protection. The outsole, they've added 2 millimeters to this, so it's a little better traction. In version 1.0, a lot of people complained that it wasn't super grippy. It left the shoe not being super versatile. It was really more terrain specific, and that helps anchor it in some of the sandier or dirtier, sandier, nastier weather here we see in the Midwest. So still has a tail rudder. I don't like, or I don't mind it. I know a lot of people don't like it. It has never bothered me at all. I've never had any dirt thrown up in my face or my shoe. I've never tripped on anything. I know a lot of people have, and they've made a big stink about it, but it is getting smaller, so I like it, not a problem. As I said, 36 millimeters, so it is super tall. It is the tallest line, or tallest shoe in the Altra line. It is the tallest shoe on the market. It is not the lightest thing in the world. They list their size 9 at 12.2 ounces. This is my big old size, and this thing tips the scales at over 14 ounces. But again, you're not going to throw this thing on to race a 5K. This is going to be your ultra shoe for the most part, or your long distance shoe, depending on what your long distance is. But all in all, another great improvement from Altra. Like I said, I'm a big fan of what these guys are doing. They're famous for their zero drop and that foot-shaped toe box, which even with my slightly narrow foot, I love to death. So Altra, if you're listening or you're watching this, thanks. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to see what you do with the upper on this guy. But everyone else, if you're looking for an Altra shoe, something to run long, and again, it doesn't have to be a 50-miler. It might be a marathon for you. This thing is awesome and definitely needs to be on your foot and be in consideration for you because it's a fantastic shoe. It fits great, super shock absorbing, and it's going to help make the miles roll by. So that's all I've got for Altra Olympus 1.5 today. Until next time, I'm Dirty Rob, and I'm out.